This is the one thing all men want. Here is the answer to the million-dollar question. I didn't figure it out till I was 40. And gosh, I wish I had known it when I was a young 20-something Puma. I'm here to save you years of time figuring this out. It's truly that simple. Girls, the great question is, what do men really want? How many times have we all been told the phrase, all guys want is sex? What makes certain men more interested in some women than others? The golden answer is that it must go beyond looks. Even if looks are important to these visual beings, it needs to go further into what guys truly want in a long-term partner. Don't get me wrong, sex can be fantastic at any age. Yet there is something more significant than sex that men have difficulty expressing and women have trouble giving. Let's find out what it is. What do men desire more than sex? We've all heard that women must feel loved in order to have sex, but men must have sex in order to feel loved. Well, understanding how men think might be beneficial to women. Dr. Luann Brizendine wrote an excellent book in which she emphasizes that in a man's world, everything is a competition. Men strive for good jobs so they can make enough money to buy an expensive car in order to attract a beautiful woman. Men initiate approaches, while women choose which men to accept. Men fight for the attention of women on the most primitive level, and that's simply the way it is. Accepting a man's approach is, at the very least, a blow to his ego, but it's also a sort of acceptance. Of course, it's not a good feeling when a lady refuses a guy, or vice versa. Unfortunately, many women don't realize why sex is so essential to men. Let's take a closer look at what men are getting when they have sex. Clearly, there is physical pleasure, but there is also a deeper need being met. Taking a woman's body offers them a peaceful feeling and homecoming that surpasses basic sexual pleasure. What men really want. Believe it or not, when a woman picks a man, it does more than just stimulate his groin. It inspires confidence in him. And this is what men not only want but also need. Men are supposed to be strong, nearly unbreakable, independent, and responsible at work and at home. When everything around them is unraveling, what they need most is a safe haven, typically in the arms of a woman they know loves and accepts them completely. Nevertheless, there is one caveat. In that, some men need sex to feel secure. Hear me out. When considering sexual intercourse is a highly intimate experience. In most circumstances, a man physically enters a woman. This has to be one of the most incredible gestures of trust, and at times, lust, for a guy. It tells him that he is deserving of a part of her body. The effects of sex are comparable to those of drugs and alcohol. We experience a sense of closeness like none other in the afterglow of ecstasy, when we're all high on endorphins and hormones. We're at ease. What men really want is the security of that time beyond orgasm, but they don't always know how to communicate it. Guys aren't always rewarded for exposing their vulnerabilities, but they want to. And when they meet a woman who accepts them for who they are, imperfections and all, they are more inclined to let down their barriers and open up, resulting in the intimacy that they need more than anything else. We've already been wounded and bruised by the world of competitiveness and rejection by the time we reach adulthood. Men need a safe haven where they don't have to pretend to be someone they're not in order to be accepted. They want someone who sees them for who they are and still wants them. Someone who can hug them and touch not just their bodies, but their hearts, souls, and minds. Always craving sex is part of the masculine character they put on to demonstrate how manly they are. What they truly desire is a secure place where they can seek refuge, rest, and be cared for. Yet expressing these needs makes them feel like little boys, not great powerful men. It is preferable for them to be masculine with their sexual desire, so that once within her body, they can relax, be themselves, and be filled with love. One of my friends told me that one of my favorite things I love getting from my wife is to lay in her lap and get a head massage. This is a beautiful, secure haven. They don't need sex to satisfy this craving. They only need to ask for it. Here, he is deeply touched and entirely accepted. He doesn't have to perform or prove themselves. He simply has to be willing to be completely vulnerable. Just as it is difficult for men to ask to be held, nourished, and touched, it is frequently difficult for women to give that type of closeness. There are 3 primary causes, all of which are frequently unconsciously acted upon. First and foremost, women have their own preconceived notions about men being men. They are worried that if he does not desire sex, they are not attractive enough. Second, a guy who wants to be hugged and nursed creates the impression that they are dealing with a boy rather than a man. I can't tell you how many women have told me. It's as if I had 3 children in the house. There are our 2 boys and my husband. Women want a partner, but are worried because they have another little boy. Finally, women are afraid of men who don't feel masculine. They understand that the most aggressive men are those who feel weak and helpless. Men have frequently shown themselves to be compassionate and vulnerable, only for them to react with hatred and violence afterward. It takes a lot of time and maturity for men to recognize to themselves that they need a secure harbor where they may be nourished and cherished by a woman. It takes a lot of guts to tell this woman he wants sex, but what he really wants is security, love, and nurturing. It takes insight to recognize that allowing themselves to be as vulnerable as a child may be the manliest thing a guy can do. A woman must also go beyond her own conditioning and be open to a man who is exposing himself in fresh ways. She must have a lot of self-love and self-confidence to embrace being a safe harbor. She must also have the strength to defend herself when the shame of being vulnerable leads to worry, wrath, or depression. It is not easy for men and women to take such risks, but the reward is a lifetime of growing love and closeness. Sex is, indeed, crucial. Yet sex on its own is only a physical activity that, in today's society, may be received from a number of different places. But what goes beyond sex is making love. What happens outside the bedroom is what distinguishes lovemaking from regular sex. It is the intimacy formed prior to sex that makes sex unforgettable. And it's the simple things like respect, trust, and support that keep us together. Guys want sex, but they also want a bond and connection with their woman that will transform sex into lovemaking. Cuddling in bed, with or without sex, is the best therapy. It allows him to feel close to you without the sweat of sex, and it's also a great moment for him to talk about his feelings, something he wouldn't do in any other setting. When he's simply lying in bed and you approach him, kiss him, and hold him, it means the world to him. Well, that's all about it. Hope this video helped. Thanks for watching.